So hi and welcome to the continuation video of this particular very important topic of obsessive compulsive disorder. So I want to start off with the 5 classes of OCD sabotage. So these are travel, health, work, relationships and social life. So let us dig deeper and let us understand how obsessive compulsive disorder they create a havoc in all of these areas of an OCD victim's life. All right. So travel. So during travel, a person who is suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, they get scared actually, like in traveling, because OCD, right? They scare these people so that they have the urge to stay at home and avoid travel. OCD might, or in many cases, OCD leads to fear of flying and fear of driving also. So whenever a person undertakes travel, all right, either for professional reasons or personal reasons, there can be certain constant factors which can lead to intrusive thoughts inside that individual's mind. And all of these obsessions, that is, such intrusive thoughts, will create compulsive behaviors in that individual. And all of these compulsive behaviors are what? That is a particular person avoiding travel. All right. So this is the compulsive behavior. So travels, they trigger OCD in individuals, and it is, you have to understand this. Traveling is a symptom of anxiety or OCD. It is not the reason, all right? Or it is not the cause. Health. OCD makes a particular person mentally ill and even physically ill also, all right? OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, can invoke psychosomatic illness in a person, that is headaches, tension, hypertension, gastrointestinal disturbances, fatigue, etc. All right. And psychosomatic illness is not a disease but an illness. All right. But if such psychosomatic illness, if they are prolonged, it can lead to serious health issues. All right. OCD can also invoke hypochondria in a person, and I have said this in the previous video. I have already made a separate video on hypochondria. It is already uploaded in this particular YouTube channel of mine. So you can watch that particular video in order to understand what hypochondria is. I have made and I have discussed very useful important points about hypochondria. If you are not aware of it, that will surely be a pool of knowledge, a pool of information for you that you must and definitely know. So okay, if I have to tell it to you in a nutshell, what hypochondria is, if you do not wish to watch the entire video, what hypochondria is, and as I have touched upon this particular word, in a very brief way, I'm telling it to you. All right. So hypochondria, or when a particular person develops the case of hypochondria, in such situation, a victim or a particular person, they always and they excessively worry about every ache and pain in their body or on their body, and they need a constant reassurance from other people that there is nothing wrong with them. So it's like that whatever every ache and for every body pain, they try to or they want to consult a doctor. And if one doctor is saying nothing is wrong with them, they will have the urge to go to another doctor just to reconfirm whether whatever the previous doctor was saying is correct or not. And this might go on to multiple doctors, and this doesn't stop in only one situation. Such situations, it repeats in that particular person's life. Sometimes it will be body, it will be a headache and they want reassurance that nothing is seriously wrong with them. Sometimes it will be a simple stomach ache and they want to go to a doctor just to make sure nothing is seriously wrong with them. Someday it will be a pain in the hand, again they need to visit to a doctor or some medical professional just to reassure or to get that reassurance that nothing serious is wrong with them. Some other day it will be something else. So in a particular person who who has this hypochondria, they will have that tendency to get themselves into such situations. All right, and this is completely coming under the topic of obsessive compulsive disorders. So again, it is very important to understand that a particular person who again is suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, they will always feel the urge to stay at home where they falsely perceive the environment as safe from such health worries. Now, let's look at the third case of an OCD sabotage, that is work. OCD can make its victim unconsciously do really silly and childish things, and for which they can get fired. They can get terminated from their employment. I have touched upon this particular aspect when I was discussing about strategies to cover up OCD habits, where a particular person, they think that if they do not indulge into discussions with other people, they will be always maintaining that physical distance from everybody. If they develop that habit of keeping quiet, not talking to anybody else, they will feel that they will maintain that physical distance from everybody. So an example in this situation is, suppose a particular person needs to attend a very important meeting, right? It has been instructed by his or her reporting manager that you need to attend this meeting and you need to get the decisions right. Now suddenly that particular person is suffering from OCD that nobody knows about, and that particular person decides, again because of his or her intrusive thoughts, they decide to pay heed to a compulsive behavior of not attending that meeting, because suddenly they think that they have to maintain physical distance, because in the meeting there will be a lot of people in one particular room and he or she will not feel comfortable getting themselves into that situation. So he or she suddenly decides out of the blue that no, they will not attain or attend that meeting. Now the reporting manager comes to know all of a sudden, and because of this entire chaos, the reporting manager finds such a particular habit a nuisance. And if OCD person, okay, in one time the reporting manager can say, okay, fine, but next time you need to go to the meeting, because a particular person who has OCD will not tell it so straightforward that he or she does not want to go to the meeting because he or she has OCD and he or she doesn't feel comfortable sharing a room with many people. Might be that is the reason why the same person might be working in a particular office space where they are not surrounded by much people, or he or she mainly works from home. There can be a lot of things. So a reporting manager can give the leverage one time, can be lenient 2 times. But if the same situation is happening with this particular person multiple number of times, that is whenever there is arising a situation where he or she needs to attend an important meeting, he or she just suddenly is deciding not to attend that meeting, or might and giving a kind of a irrational or kind of a childish excuse that he or she is suffering from stomach pain, he or she suddenly felt is feeling ill, or he or she suddenly has a family or emergency that he or she needs to attend to. So every now and then if the same situation arises, because again the person is not doing this intentionally just to be a bad employee, that person is suffering from OCD, and that particular person is coming up with certain cover up strategies in order to avoid their OCD problems. But the reporting manager is not knowing this. The reporting manager does not have an understanding, an idea that this is the situation why that particular employee is not attending meetings. The reporting manager will eventually come to know that that employee is immature, childish, not serious with his or her roles and responsibilities, and because of such repeated behaviors of similar kind, that employee might get fired, might get terminated, might come under certain performance review, all right, a performance improvement plan. So this is an example of how OCD can sabotage an individual's life when it comes to their professional area, when it comes to their work area. All right. I hope I made myself understand. Relationships and social life. Similar to the point that I have discussed in regarding to work, all right. OCD invokes many a times OCD invokes childish, immature, silly behaviors in an individual's overall way of, you know, overall attitude or overall way of behaving with other people. And OCD also invokes a no compromise attitude, especially when OCD victims, they try to control other people in an unconscious way or might be in a conscious way, so that they can, avoid their anxiety problems, they can avoid their intuitions, compulsions, or obsessions. All right. Because of such controlling behaviors, because when they try to control other people, they always develop this no compromise attitude. Example, if they want certain person to be in a certain way, that particular person needs to be in that particular way. That is a no compromise thing for that particular person who is suffering from OCD. Other people needs to behave with that OCD person in that particular way in which that OCD person wants them to. Or when an OCD person wants certain things to be placed in a certain way, there is no compromise in it. He or she wants those things to be placed in those ways. And because of such no compromise attitude for other people, the attitude of such OCD people or OCD victims might feel very arrogant, might feel very stubborn, might also be very childish, immature, silly, irrational, impractical. And when all of these, things are happening, and if a particular person wants to have a relationship, wants to have a social life, he or she will not be able to have it properly, because he or she himself will land or himself will try to create a lot of unnecessary, these unhelpful situations. And they are not doing it intentionally to harm other people, they are not doing it intentionally to be a bad person in front of other people, they are not doing such behaviors, they are not showing such attitude intentionally just to, be a or belittle the other person. All right, they are doing it because again they are suffering from OCD, and they are doing it because they feel that doing such things gives them some kind of a relaxation from their obsessions and compulsions. But other people will not tolerate it, other people will not be comfortable with it, other people will feel that such kind of behaviors, attitudes are tantrums that are childish, that are immature, that are impractical, that are silly, and that are very arrogant in nature. So, obviously, these things never they fare well in personal as well as professional relationships and in everyday social life. And because of these things, again, people who are suffering from OCD, they like to stay alone. So I hope now I have discussed about all of the 5 classes of OCD sabotage. All right, travel, health, work, relationship, and social life. Now let's understand, or let's now start to understand what are the correct and positive steps and measures to overcome obsessive compulsive disorder, problems related to obsessive compulsive disorders, and how to overcome such things in a sustainable way, in a healthy way. All right. So, what I know, what I have researched, what I have experienced when talking to other people, when helping other people. So, all of these things I will tell it to you according to me works in a sustainable way, in a more healthy way. I am never a supporter of clinical help, medicinal help, because I have seen. I'm sorry, there is a fly again. That is disturbing me. All right. Okay. So I have seen and I have even heard. I have watched people. They take medicines. They take pills just to suppress their OCD problems. Because again, such medicines, such pills, they releases certain happy hormones which enables a person to temporarily come out of their OCD. So such people are always dependent on pills. It is not a one time thing. Every day they need to take it, because if they do not take it, they will again go back to their anxieties or anxious thoughts, anxious behaviors. All right. So again, so that is the reason why what I think is, when again taking medicines, when it is stopped, when people they do not take medicines, when they are dependent on medicines, and after a certain point of time they stop taking medicines, it is seen that again the OCD problem it comes back. So medicines, according to me, it's not helping to treat, solve issues related to OCD in a sustainable way. Yes, clinical help are or is necessary whenever there is some problem with the neurological working, and that too when when the problem has gone to a very strong level. At that time, or in those situations, psychiatrist, neurological specialist, they come into the picture. In those situations, yes, when there is a problem with the physical functioning of the human brain, at that time I think I'm not the correct person, the apt person to talk about those things, because I am a certified psychologist, I am not a psychiatrist. All right. So in those situations I know that medicines, a particular person needs to be dependent on medicines, but I am talking about OCD. All right. I do not think medicines are required if a particular person they develop a particular habit. It is just that a particular person needs to reprogram their mind and imbibe a habit which is healthy, which will enable them to come out of their obsessions and compulsions. And how to do it, that I will be telling you and sharing it with you. So, two rules a particular person needs to keep in mind, that is, or they need to understand and follow in order to overcome and free themselves from their anxiety troubles and issues. What are these two golden rules? Rule number one: you cannot think yourself out of anxiety, you cannot think yourself out of OCD. It's very important to know that anxiety itself is a problem of thinking too much. Anxiety itself is a problem of overthinking. And thinking too much, overthinking about unnecessary, irrelevant, and irrational things. It is not thinking too much about things which are relevant, which are important. In those situations, it is not anxiety. It can be stress, but anxiety issues mainly occurs, or the a particular person, they develops this OCD thinking patterns, especially when they think too much about unnecessary, illogical, impractical, pseudo things. All right. So this is the problem of thinking too much, which causes anxiety. So you cannot think yourself out of anxiety. In anxiety, an individual's mind and body, they respond to their intrusive thoughts as if they are true. This is what we have discussed in video number 1 of this OCD. It is because of this the body gets tired and the emotions, it becomes uncalibrated and sensitive. If such individuals who are already suffering from obsessive compulsive disorders, they're already suffering from anxiety issues. If such individuals, they think more about their intrusive thoughts, their overthinking and their stressful thinking might worsen, might increase. All right. It is important to note that in such situations, during anxiety, the unconscious nervous system, also known as the autonomic nervous system, it becomes tired and exhausted because of the long period of anxiousness, anxious thinking, and worry. So, this is rule number 1 you have to keep in mind. You cannot think yourself out of anxiety, out of OCD. Golden rule number 2: staying at home, it doesn't eradicate your anxiety or OCD problems. Anxiety almost and always, unconsciously, it tries to make individuals stay at home, or it makes them go back to their home. All right, this is what anxiety OCD does to such victims, to such individuals. And as I had already discussed in these two videos, in such cases, individuals, what they do is they falsely perceive home or staying at home as a safe place to avoid their anxiety symptoms and troubles. It is a false perception which is not true. And you have to remember this: OCD makes an individual's mind have a logic of a small child, because OCD doesn't make the individual think in a rational way, think in a logical way, because their mind is not working properly. All the thoughts, all the thinking patterns are uncalibrated and off the charts. And in these situations, what OCD does is it makes an individual behave like a childlike person. It makes individuals childish. It makes individual have silly thoughts. All right. So that is the reason why I'm saying OCD, anxiety, especially OCD, it makes an individual's mind have a logic of a small child. Therefore, OCD, it sabotages their victim's mind with a logic that is, if they stay at home, they will be safe. This is what such individuals are falsely thinking. This is what OCD is making such individuals think. A logic of a small child, right? A small child will think like that. A grown-up person, even a teenager, right? They will not think in such childish way that staying at home, staying alone, they will feel safe, right? So that is the reason why a particular person who has OCD, they need to accept and understand that staying at home will not remove, will not eradicate their anxiety problems, and it will not remove and eradicate their OCD problems. Now, I want to tell it to you, what are the effective steps and tips to overcome OCD in a sustainable way. Again, I need to tell you three important points before I start talking on the tips. Point number one, you have to remember this, especially people who have OCD. You are not your thoughts. OCD originally or initially occurs with the intrusive thoughts, which are obsessions. Then that particular person develops the urge to give in to compulsive behaviors. But it is basically the thoughts which are going all wrong. So a particular person who has OCD needs to understand, they needs to accept that they are not their thoughts. You are not your thoughts. All right. Remove point number two, you have to understand that is a particular person who is suffering from OCD. You have to remove the underlying anxiety first. This is what I have said during the initial stages of the first video, that is of this OCD topic. Third and very, 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 very important thing, or I will say the most important thing, a particular person who is suffering from OCD, they need to learn to stay calm and stay relaxed, because people who suffer from OCD, they have a very tough time staying calm and staying relaxed. They are not able to do so in a normal way, in a day-to-day life. They are not able to stay calm and stay relaxed. If you interact with a person who has OCD, serious OCD, not on a basic level, at least in the mid stages, or at least on the mid stages, right? If I'm talking about OCD, it is basically in the mid stages. I'm not talking about a perfectionist. A particular person who has OCD, you will understand, you will realize that they hardly have the habit of staying calm or staying relaxed. Every now and then there are certain thoughts getting into their mind which urges them to behave in a certain way. All right, so these are the three things you have to keep in mind. Now let's come to the tips or the effective steps. Point number one, OCD, you have to understand is OCD is not a disease. All right, it is basically an individual's mind and body, they have combined together to work in a certain way because of complex combination of thoughts, feelings, habits and beliefs that according to the OCD person, these things they feel to be true, when in reality, in actuality, these things are not true. So an individual's mind has been programmed to such thoughts, feelings, habits and beliefs. OCD itself is not a disease. If a particular person is suffering from OCD for a very, very long time, it can lead to physical health problems or other problems, mental problems, especially with your nervous system. But OCD itself is just the way your mind has been programmed to work. It is just the way your mind has been programmed to respond to certain thoughts. And when your mind responds, your body also responds. Your mind and body, they have come together to work in a certain way, which is unhealthy, unhelpful. So a particular person who is suffering from OCD, they need to reprogram their mind from such intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. It's just a reprogramming that needs to be done. And because of that, we have neuro linguistic programming. An OCD individual, point number 2, and OCD individual, they need to change unconsciously. As OCD, most of the time it takes place in an unconscious level. Also, it takes place in a conscious level. It depends how much OCD is making that particular person suffer. What is that stage in which that particular person has reached to regarding their OCD issues and troubles? All right. When the stage is at its peak, or when the stage is quite high, OCD mainly occurs from an unconscious level. All right. So logical thinking will not help an individual to come out of their OCD problems. An OCD person needs to come out in an unconscious way, or they need to change unconsciously. Point number 3, compulsions or the compulsive behaviors are basically, these are symptoms. So it's very important that an OCD person or an individual suffering from OCD, they need to address their underlying anxiety or their underlying fears before their compulsions can be removed. If they are not able to identify what is that fear that is causing their compulsive behavior, if they're not able to identify the real reason for it, then they will not be able to completely remove their compulsive behaviors. But once the fears is removed, the OCD, the obsessions and the compulsions will also automatically, it will fade off. Again, point number 4, which I've already discussed before, you are not your thoughts. A human brain, you have to understand, a human brain or the human mind, let's not go into the biological aspect of the brain. A human mind is a thought proposal device. An individual who is suffering from OCD, they should continuously make an effort just to observe their thoughts and not to give their thoughts any meanings. It is best when an OCD person, they learn this habit, or they slowly and gradually develop this habit of ignoring such intrusive thoughts. When a particular person, they develop the habit of ignoring unhelpful thoughts, after a certain point of time, those unhelpful thoughts will not enter that particular person's mind. This is how a particular person is reprogramming their mind to accept newer thoughts, which are not the previous thoughts which were unhealthy. Point number 5, the unconscious mind uses the logic of a small child, and I'm referring it in regards to obsessive compulsive disorders. So, and a particular person, let's look at some examples just to clear this particular point out. As I had already discussed, the unconscious mind of an OCD victim will use the logic of a small child to make them feel that they are safe from their anxious and stressful thoughts and behaviors. Example, a particular person might feel, or who is having an OCD, might say to himself or herself, might think that if I stay in my room, nothing bad will happen. They might think that if I do not travel, I will be safe from my OCD. So such individuals who are suffering from OCD, they should not pay any heed. They should not respond to such illogical thoughts, and should also try to change, very important, unconsciously. Point number 6, don't wait for extrinsic or external motivation to come. That is, if a person is suffering from OCD, if you are suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, you have to understand that your emotions currently are not working properly because you are suffering from OCD, all right? So the emotions are taking a toll. Most of the time, you are emotionally exhausted, emotionally disturbed, emotionally stressed. All right. So, motivation is also a kind of an emotion. So, when your emotions are not working properly, how you will feel the motivation? The motivation will not come easily. So, what you need to do is, if you seriously want to overcome and get rid of your OCD issues and problems, you have to you have to start the journey anyways. Even if you are not feeling motivated to come out of your OCD problems, if you are not feeling motivated to take help, professional help, you just have to make yourself, push yourself to take that journey. That is the journey by the help of which you will start to recover, you will start to overcome your OCD problems in a sustainable way. So just accept proper help and treatment from anywhere that you are getting. Accept it. Don't wait for the motivation to come. Once your emotions will start to function properly, then you will start to feel motivated. Then you will start to realize that yes, I am slowly and slowly turning into a new leaf, a healthier version of yourself. Point number 7, a particular person who is having OCD, who is suffering from OCD, they need to understand or they need to realize very one important thing. They need to answer themselves one question. What would they be without their OCD problems? It means, what would the person be in their personal and professional life if they do not had or if they do not have their OCD problems which they are currently having? What kind of a new and better job opportunities will come into their life? What kind of new overall opportunities will greet them? What kind of new relationship goals they can accept if they come out of their OCD problems? Because of their OCD problems, they know that they are not able to utilize opportunities. They are not able to even see opportunities. They are suffering in their professional, personal relationships. They are suffering overall in life. They are not able to stay calm and relaxed. They are not able to feel happy. And it is all because of their OCD problems. So such individuals, they need to at least, first of all, feel calm, feel relaxed, and they just need to answer themselves one question. What would they be? Where will their life take them if they are completely free from their OCD problems and worries? This is very important. The moment an individual realizes with focus and determination, that is, if they're able to feel that OCD is seriously, it is stopping them from facing the actual realities of life. OCD is stopping them, or OCD is keeping them deprived from happiness and endless opportunities. The moment an OCD victim will understand that, acknowledge this, be aware of this, the same individual will do what is necessary to what is necessary, what is ethical, what is correct, what is healthy to properly overcome their OCD troubles. All right. Point number 8. See, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, it makes such individuals, that is who are or who is suffering from OCD, doubt everything. Individuals who are suffering from OCD, they should try and make an honest effort to inculcate a behavior of trusting others and doubting less. They need to trust themselves. They need to trust the people who care about them. They need to trust their surroundings, and they need to doubt less. This is the habit which an OCD person they needs to inculcate, they needs to develop. All right, because they have to be aware of one particular very important point, and that point is true. OCD will make you doubt everything. You will make you suspicious towards others. All right, so you have to come out of it. One very important point: a particular person who is suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, they need to understand, they need to realize from a, at least they need to try to realize from a wise mind that whether their own family members or friends are keeping them stuck to their OCD problems. That means unknowingly, are they receiving bad and uneducated advice from their family members and friends in regards to their OCD problems, in regards to their obsessions, in regards to their compulsive behaviors? Are they receiving naive advice, unprofessional advice? Unknowingly they are receiving it. They need to realize this. It's very important to note that if OCD people or if OCD victims, they receive bad advice and are being unknowingly, ignorantly encouraged to comply and follow with their obsessions and compulsions, this will worsen their OCD problems, because they are paying heed to whatever they are doing. Even their immediate family members, their friends are also encouraging them to behave, think in the same way that OCD is causing them to. So this thing, a particular person, they needs to realize and understand. The last tip that I want to give is get the correct and the right kind of help. It is very, very, very important to understand that if individuals, that is who are suffering from obsessive compulsive behaviors, obsessive compulsive disorders, they decide to approach therapists or mental health professionals or advisors, but such people are not properly trained in aspects related to OCD and anxiety, this might not turn out well for them. So they need to approach professionals, they need to approach mental health advocates, advisors, psychologists, especially those people who have an educated awareness about obsessive compulsive disorders, who have a proper awareness about anxiety and how to properly overcome it. All right, so this is what an individual they need to understand. So this is what I wanted to discuss in these two videos, the last video and this particular video, about obsessive compulsive disorder. I hope you will keep these two videos handy. You will share it with people who you think might benefit from listening to whatever I had to say in these two videos. And I am sure, I am positively hoping that these videos, what I have recently just made and shared, will enable individuals to come out of their obsessive compulsive disorders, will enable individuals, will enable everyone to have a proper awareness about what exactly OCD is and everything that is connected with this topic of OCD. I hope you all will utilize the knowledge that you have gathered from these two videos. I hope you all will utilize the awareness that you have achieved from these two videos in helping others, in enabling others to, towards a recovery, or towards, or, get, or helping individuals to be in a road of recovery from OCD problems, OCD worries. All right. Thank you and have a nice day.